hello again. It's me. Doing the stuck in bed talks. I don't know. I need to come up with some catchy name for my time when I'm stuck in bed and just musing on YouTube with with my thoughts and things that are probably not the most appropriate for me to be talking about, but I am anyway because I'm bored. Um, I guess for this one, I want to talk about the Black Lives Matter movement. Um, well, I'll just say first off, I support it. There are things that happen to people who are not white. I've seen it happen. Let me tell you a story. Um, so number one, in front of my house, I live in a very urban area. People might call it the ghetto. And Near downtown, and so there are always a lot of people out front. For the most part, they're black people, and they're just kind of hanging out there. They don't cause me any trouble. But I've seen time and time and time again, especially when it gets kind of nighttime. The local police, they come rolling through, um, and well, a couple things happen. If they have music playing, the music always stops. It's kind of weird. I mean, it's not weird because I know why, but to a normal person, it's kind of like, oh, and everybody always kind of turns away and just pretends that they're just doing the kind of their own thing. They might have been out dancing in the street for all, but as soon as the police come, they're scared. Um, and on more than one occasion, I have seen police just kind of randomly stop and search a car. I'm sure they had, or they say they had, will say they had some kind of probable cause, but probably in the last year, 5 or 6 times, right in front of my house, um, I've seen them pull over a car. I've watched them search this person's car. They don't find anything, and usually there are about 10, officers there doing the search, questioning the person. They don't find anything, and they let them go. Okay, like the number of searches that are happening, it's insane. Um, I grew up in rural, Ohio, central Ohio. You would have never seen that up there, and you would have never seen that on, say, the north end of Columbus, where it's, at least at this right now, it's mostly white people. You would never see that, and that's sad. Another story. Once last year, here in Columbus, if gunshots are heard, we have something called the shot spotter system, that will kind of pinpoint where those gunshots came from. And there were a series of gunshots. I don't think it's very accurate. There were a series of gunshots this one day, and I think they came from over, maybe kind of along the main kind of avenue that's near me. That's what it sounded like anyway. But there were these kids, maybe between 12 and 15 years old. There's an apartment complex that's kind of behind me across the alley, the back alley from my house. And there were these kids just sitting over there. They were just hanging out. They were causing no one any trouble. I've been kind of keeping an eye on them all evening, just kind of watching them. I was in my kitchen doing things, and it's just, I could see everything they were doing. They were not doing anything they should not have been. They were just sitting around talking. They weren't even standing around. They were sitting around. And these gunshots occur. All of a sudden, the police pull up, in front of these kids, and they put them in handcuffs, and they start searching them. Like, when is that okay? And, why weren't their parents, before, I mean, I understand, okay, maybe you need to detain someone for some reason, but they had no reason to detain these kids, okay? Clearly, the shot spotter system was inaccurate if it pointed it to these kids, because they were not doing that. I would have, if gunshots happened right outside my house, I would have known that. Okay, I heard the gunshots down the road. Okay? That's not okay. That needs to change. With that all said, I have a problem with a few things with this current movement. Number one, the riots. That's not okay. Don't do that. It's better when you're protest. When you look back, say to this, the 50s and 60s with the civil rights movement. You know, it was not the people who got violent that people sympathized with. It was the people who were, in the restaurants who were getting milkshakes poured on their heads and smoke blown in their face, and then they go outside and they get beat up, with billy clubs by the police. You know, those are the ones that people are going to sympathize with, not the ones who are breaking out the darn store windows downtown. Um, they're and also don't be throwing water bottles at the police. Just don't. Um, that's not cool. That's asking for trouble. Just don't do it. With that said, it has calmed down a lot. We're not seeing those kinds of riots at this point, and that's good. I see, like the protesters some kind of times march in front of my house on my road, and also down kind of the main road about every weekend. And it's awesome. They're peaceful. They're they often have some pretty good music actually. But you know that's amazing, and I really, really, really hope that some of the change that needs to happen. I mean, when people are being profiled because of their race or their, I mean, not just their race, but lots of other things, sexual orientation, their how much money they make. That's another big one. Their, the social status. That's not okay, and we've got to change that. I don't have the answers for how we change that, because we do have to have some law enforcement. Otherwise, there's no sense in making laws to begin with. But, how we enforce those laws, how, whether there should be a police force that exists, in its current form or not, that's for someone else. That's not for me, a decision for me to make. But it's important that the people who are going to be affected, all the people who are going to be affected, of all different groups of people, that they all have a voice in that change. Because, if a bunch of straight white guys, who are, solidly middle class make these decisions, well, that's not gonna include all people. So I just hope that everyone is at the table when this change starts happening, and I think it is happening. We have not just the government is responding, but corporations, businesses, and that oftentimes it has to be those people, not just the government, but those types of people, businesses, the little man, who helps to facilitate that change. One more thing. I have a thought on certain, whenever there's some kind of movement that comes out, whether it be the, Black Lives Matter, of course, the women's rights movements, the gay rights movement, all those. There tend to be certain buzzwords used. Right now, one of the words that is very commonly used is privilege. You are so privileged that you can't see what's right in front of your nose. Here's the thing. I know what those words mean, and I understand what people are saying. But I don't think everyone does. Okay, you got to understand. Most people, honestly, I believe that most people in our country read at about a sixth grade level. And they think at about a sixth grade level, unfortunately. So I think that instead of using these buzzwords, we need to break what we're trying to say down into very, very simple terms. Don't just say you're privileged. Explain what being privileged is, and use small words to do it. Okay, because when you say privileged, most frankly, white people, yeah, the Karens of the world, they think of, oh, you are so damn rich. They think that's what you're saying. You're so damn rich that you cannot see, what everybody else is going through. And, that's just inflammatory. It doesn't make any difference. They're not going to listen to you. So yeah, just stop using the buzzwords and break them down so that the dummies of the world can understand. But all right, this video is getting kind of long, so I'm gonna end it at that. But keep on fighting. Change is happening. And if I could get out of bed and now you were healthy, I'd probably be there with you. But until then, just know you have my support, and good luck. Thanks.
All right, so our fried chicken is finished. I just pulled it out of the deep fryer a few minutes ago. Well, the second batch, I should say. And I'm about ready to give it a try. But before I do, I just wanted to mention, I forgot in the last part of the video, that you need to leave it in the deep fryer at 375 for about 15 minutes. If you want to be really safe, you can use a meat thermometer, and you want to reach an internal temperature of 175. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. But all right, let's try a piece. Oh. The skin has a wonderfully strong flavor. You can taste the garlic and the onion powder so much. Not overpowering, just enough. Excellent. All right, that's it for this episode. If you have any questions, comments, or anything at all, just leave it down at the bottom. And until next time, enjoy. Goodbye.